friends, Sonia here with Ellie and Mac, and today I'm showing you some awesome hacks to use with our cut files to make them go even further. This one is our Sewing Machine Notions cut file, and all of the pieces are individual. Now if you send it to the mat like this, it will come up in a bunch of different pieces, so you can either attach it or separate them, and that's why we keep these all individual. So when you ungroup them like I just did, you can pull out individual notions and cut those by themselves. It really expands the versatility of this cut file, and so you can just pull out a couple of different pieces and cut those out individually. So I am selecting a few of the notions that I want to use, and then I'm just going to select the rest of it that I am not going to use and delete it so it's out of the way. Now you can go in and select just those couple of notions, resize them to the size that you need, and cut those out by themselves. So this is basically the same technique. I just wanted to show you that the words are individual as well on this My Soul is Fed with Fabric and Thread quote that we just published as a cut file, and those can all be found on our website at ellieandmac.com. So all I'm doing is just changing the composition here, and that's what I love about these being all separate is you can change up how they are laid out. Just make sure to go and select everything and attach it together before you cut it out. This cut file you can see is actually welded together by color. So if you want to separate out an individual element from this, all you're going to do is ungroup it. Now I'm going to get rid of the brown and the pink because all I want is that little pumpkin that is inside the coffee cup. And that's the only piece I'm going to use here. So I'm going to go ahead and move those out of the way and just delete them. And then what we're going to do is actually use the slice function. So I'm going to scoot that over and then insert a square. And I just resize it so it's a little bit, easier to work with. And I'm going to overlap that little leaf. Now, all I am doing right here is separating the leaf from the everything. And you click on slice, and that will cut it out and so that they're actually separate. So I'm just going to delete everything that I'm not using there, and now you have just a little leaf. So we're going to do that same process again with the orange color, and I'm going to create a square, overlap the pumpkin, select everything, and slice the pumpkin out. Now I'm just deleting those extra little pieces, and that is a really good way, if everything is not already separated, to cut out whatever piece you want. This technique is using that same slice function. All I'm doing is a piece that is welded together I'm going to cut apart, and that's because that little tiny extra leaf, I'm cutting these out of leather for my project, and I don't think it's going to cut that well that tiny. You could probably with HTV, but not in the faux leather. So I'm just using the square again, and I'm going to slice and just cut the mini leaf away from the main leaf, and that's what you're left with. So this last technique, I'm going to take the image that we're using, I'm going to duplicate it, and then I need to weld it together. And I make sure that they are overlapping just a tiny bit so that it creates one solid object. And then I'm going to do two things. One of them is move this object to the back, and so that way I can make sure that sizing is correct, so I can actually see it behind the pumpkin. And I'm also going to change it to black so that it's a little easier to tell that it is the shadow piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and scoot that back, check the sizing, and you're done. So that is 5 new hacks for using your cut files. I hope you guys found this helpful, and make sure to hop over to our blog to see the rest of how these cute little gnomes were made.